Guys, welcome back. Traversal ENT here, back with another one. All right, guys. First of all, big up to all the supporters and the subscribers. I think we're at 85. Let's try and get this video up in terms of the subscription. Let's get the views up for the videos as well and the likes. Help the channel to grow. So do the right thing, guys, and hit the subscribe button. Appreciate you lot. And make sure you leave a comment down below because I do read all of them. All right, guys. Traversal ENT, this is new media when it comes to sports and boxing. And understand, every so often, we got to give you lot receipts. And in this case, I mean, give you lot reference to some of the quotes we're giving you. So you understand that we don't make stuff up in Traversal ENT. We give you lot facts, quotes, receipts. Moving on. I released a video not long ago about governing bodies, right? And how there's going to be a new governing bodies, new belts, new everything. Go back and watch that video because this one here is in line with that. Eddie Hearn is going to give you specific quotes out of his own mouth about a new governing body so that you know it's not just Traversal ENT saying this, guys. Now, you ain't heard this anywhere else. So I'm giving you exclusives, yeah, in terms of what I gave you last week. That was exclusives. Check this out now, though. Eddie Hearn says, and this was staggering. This is quite mind-blowing, actually. He's going to quote now. Listen to this. He says, can you imagine the conversation when I go to Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua? Right, to keep all the belts on the line, I know you got to pay your 3% to the governing bodies, right? So that is capped at 300 grand, and that's 300 grand a piece across the 4 belts. That's 1.2 million. Actually, throw in the IBO, that's 1.5 million in total. You both individually got to pay the governing bodies. That is Eddie Hearn's quote. Then he goes on to say, quote, oh, and now Alexander Usyk wants a couple of millions as well. So, are you all right? Lads, just stick a couple of millions out of your own pockets. They're going to turn around and go, what? Don't worry about it. Eddie Hearn's quote, guys. Now, he said a lot, and I'm going to give you a few more quotes here, but let's just focus on that for a second. The governing bodies are getting paid 300 grand per belt across 4 belts, 3, 6, 9, 12, 1.2 million. Chuck in the IBO, 1.5 million. That they both individually got to pay the governing bodies. The governing bodies are making a killing out of this undisputed situation, and yet they're still being difficult with guys like Eddie Hearn and the promoters involved in the fight. To the point that it's pushing Eddie Hearn over the edge, guys. He's sick and tired of it. So he's basically given the WBO's president an ultimatum. I'm going to give you the quote of what Eddie Hearn is going to... He's going to quote to you himself. I'm going to give you Eddie Hearn's quote of how the conversation is going to go with him and the WBO president. Listen carefully, guys. Eddie Hearn says, I spoke to the WBO president, Paco Valcarcel. I said, look, Paco, you're going to have a tough spot because probably in a couple of weeks, I'm going to write to you saying, great news. We've made one of the biggest fights, Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury, in boxing history. We've made the biggest fight in boxing. It's the undisputed heavyweight world champion. And it's between Joshua and Fury. Paco, my old son, are you on board? Eddie Hearn further goes on to say, and he's going to go, have you spoken to Usyk? And I'm going to go, not yet. I'm asking you to let Anthony Joshua bypass his WBO mandatory Usyk. Do you want to sanction this fight with AJ and Fury or not? Eddie Hearn's quote, right? Then he says, quote, he's either going to go, yes, I do, or I can't really until you talk to Usyk. And then I've got to go and talk to Usyk, Eddie Hearn said, right? So he's just told you how that conversation either is going to go or parts of that conversation they've had already, right? But that's Eddie Hearn's words, not Traversal ENT's words, yeah? So understand that, guys. Let's continue with the last bit, the main crunch here. talking about new sanctioning bodies. Yes, guys, new sanctioning bodies, right? Maybe one single new one to clean up all the old ones. Pay attention. Eddie Hearn says, seeing AJ standing in the ring, covered with every bit of silverware you can win in boxing, that's always been the aim he had when he turned professional, right? Once they fight for the undisputed champion, if the belts get fragmented, so be it, said Hearn. But I would love just to see that moment of AJ being the undisputed champion. Then Eddie Hearn goes, this could be the moment. I don't like to threaten governing bodies, but at the moment, the people putting the money on the line, the people putting the risk on the line, outside of the people that are putting the real risk, which is the fighters, is the promoters, we're putting the money up for the shows, we're taking the risk, we're making the losses. The governing body turns up saying, thank you very much. With the governing bodies, we have to be a little bit careful because people are losing their patience. I speak to other promoters all the time. There is a real movement with people spending their money with governing bodies saying, at one point, do we turn around and say, all right, it's a bold move, bye-bye? Say there was a movement where people said, you know what we're actually going to do now? It's either create our own belt or leave the politics behind and just make great fights, said Hearn. Now, guys, I'm not going to quote every single thing he said. You got to listen to the Toe to Toe podcast with Eddie Hearn, right? The interview with him there. He's talking about the creation of a new governing body, the creation of a new belt, and fighters walking away from that. Now, who would be on board with Eddie Hearn? Top Rank, Golden Boy Promotions. Why do I say those two names? Because Top Rank and Hearn are currently dealing with each other. They're gonna want guys like what's his name? Even Frank Warren's promotion, right? Greensbury, if that's what it's called, are gonna want to be on. Are going to want to be in on that. They're not gonna pass up when everyone else is joining that. So then you got Matchroom, you got Top Rank, you got Golden Boy, you got Frank Warren all on it. If they can come to that agreement and they can create, they'll walk away from the current the current governing bodies to create their own one, which will mean less fees because it'll be one charge, one governing body. Fighters will all jump on board with that. Do you know what that will force the Americans to do? And when I say Americans, what I mean is the governing body in America. What it will and maybe Mexico, wherever they're based at in that side of the world, it will force them to reform their governing body policies. It would absolutely force them to reform. Because once they created the new one across the pond over there, wherever they create it, by Hearn and the rest, it will force the current existing governing bodies to reform some of their rules and regulations. But at that point, it might be too little too late. Because understand, the belts are stained. They are stained. They're prestigious, but they're stained. Right? The WBC is today known as We Be Crooks. That tells you all you need to know. Now, do not cancel out people like Calais Saulen, because he was on the video that I done previously talking about how he too will jump on board. He's the innovative one too. Him and Hearn, very innovative. So guys, if you haven't heard that video, go back and listen to it. You'll see it on my channel. It's talking about new sanctioning bodies, new belts. Go and have a listen, guys. Go and have a listen. Traversal ENT, make sure you subscribe, do the right thing. Go watch the podcast Toe to Toe with Eddie Hearn. Get all the quotes for yourself. We give you receipts. We don't just make up BS, guys. We give you receipts. Signing out. I'll be back with another one. Make sure you subscribe, guys. I'm out.